I believe this is the rally you don't ever sell. It doesn't matter. I mean, if silver goes down $5, $10, whatever, gold goes down 200, 300, $500, who cares? Because you can see the end of the road. You can see the end game. And the end game is either you have metal. When I say metal, either you have capital or you don't. And when this system breaks and the next system starts, you're either going to start with capital or you're going to have to start all over again.
Speaking of diversification, we've talked about gold and silver, but what's your view on platinum? Platinum at one point in time was actually valued higher than gold. Now it's about half the price, or actually less than half the price of gold. Do you anticipate platinum going back to being the numero uno precious metal in terms of pricing, or what's your view on platinum?
Yeah, platinum, if you go back to the early 2000s, at one point it was triple the price of gold. I don't know. I think, a big use for both platinum and palladium are the auto industry through the
catalytic converters.
Catalytic converter. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a big demand. I view gold and silver as the true precious metals. If you want to talk about palladium, platinum, yeah, they're precious, but they're all, and silver's also industrial too. Don't get me wrong. But gold and silver are the true precious metals, and I view those as more speculative, more specific. If you're going to buy platinum or palladium, do your research and know why you're buying it, for what reason, and follow that reason to see whether it's unfolding or not unfolding.
I see. What are your thoughts on SLV, holding SLV, considering everything we've talked about today, GLD, SLV, all of these trusts, so to speak, that have multiple claims on the same unit of metal? Right. Here. I mean, are these what's gonna happen to these ETFs?
I would just say read the prospectus. I would say read the prospectus, and if you decide you want to buy those after fully reading the prospectus, then I would suggest you didn't understand what you were reading, because they do not have to hold physical metal. They could be all contracts. And obviously, like you just said, there's the potential and the problem of multiple claims on the same ounce.
Yeah.
I think physical metal in your hand or stored in a private non-bank vault is far better, and segregated, not an unallocated account. You want segregated account where your metal is separate from other metals. And of course, in your own hands, it's in your own hands. But that's when we first started talking about failure to deliver, that's one of the problems, is that in order to keep this game going as long as they did, they had to lend out that first, that 1 ounce of silver or 1 ounce of gold. They had to lend it out 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times. Now we're to the point of there's 200, 300 claims on individual ounces. How does that work? It's a game of musical chairs where, there's a mob in front of you before you can even see the chair. I think I've posted this myself. I believe this is the rally you don't ever sell. It doesn't matter. I mean, if silver goes down $5, $10, whatever, gold goes down $200, $300, $500, who cares? Because you can see the end of the road. You can see the end game. And the end game is either you have metal. When I say metal, either you have capital or you don't. And when this system breaks and the next system starts, you're either going to start with capital or you're going to have to start all over again. I do want to caution people of trying to be cute and liquidate and trade this. This is not the rally that you trade, because we are at the end game.
It is weird, because if you are like a mining stock investor, I mean, it has been a joy looking at our portfolios the last several months, especially the last few days. I mean, it's a wonder to behold. But at the same time, it's kind of scary because it does imply that everything we talked about is coming
Again,
true. You're being vindicated.
yeah, let me ask you this, Danny. At speaking to mining investors, okay, so you put uh, you lived for the 15 years of mining stock underperformance, and now all of a sudden they're exploding. We're getting doubles, triples, quadruples. I mean, we're crazy action in the mining companies. But if you understand what the end game is,
Mm.
if you don't have your physical stock certificates and your broker goes under, what good is that to you? Because legally, those mining stocks are not yours. They're owned by your broker for your benefit, but you're not the legal owner. Your broker is the legal owner. And if they go out of business, guess what? You had all those great gains, but now you have zero because your broker died and he took your stocks with him.
And for those who don't know, because I think we've talked about this in like an earlier episode, maybe last year or so, on how to
Yeah.
get your stock certificate. Do you mind just doing a quick refresher for people who may be watching this for the first time?
Sure. Uh, in order to get a stock certificate delivered, and I'm talking about your core positions, the positions you don't want to lose. Uh, you contact your broker. You tell them you want to DRS the security. That's direct registration. You want to direct register the securities with the transfer agent. Now, there's probably a dozen or more transfer agents, and that you'd have to ask your company or your broker who the transfer agent is. But once they electronically send your shares from the broker to the transfer agent, so now your broker no longer has it on their books, because when it's in the account with your broker, they own it, you do not. Once you shift it to DRS and you send it to the transfer agent, once it gets there, then you contact your transfer agent. You say, I want the paper certificate. And the paper certificate acts as the same thing as a deed to a house, a title to a car. It is your proof that you are an owner of whatever percentage of the company. That's your proof. That's your receipt. You can provide that as, look, I am an owner. This is mine. My name's on it. When the system does break and brokers go down, people are just unwittingly going to lose their life savings.
And suppose you want to sell before the system goes down, would you still be able to sell through your brokerage app, or would you have to go through some other
Yes,
procedure?
yeah, you'd have to deliver the stock certificate back to your broker
Hmm.
with a stock power attached to it with your signature and signature guarantee, uh, and then you can liquidate it. And it's a little clunky. I mean, it could take 5 to 7 business days to get that done. So it's not as convenient as clicking a button on a computer. But I think the inconvenience of having to do that versus having the real probability of losing the entire asset, I think it's far better to have it in your own hands.
Yeah. At the very minimum, to get some of your, like you said, your big core positions, at least get those in line.